playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It should be illegal for Scottie Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It doesn't matter that they're early in the game, late in the game, they're trailing, they're leading. It doesn't matter garbage time. CeeDee Lamb is the guy, and we saw that even after Dak got hurt last year and Cooper Rush was under center. Targets were going to CeeDee Lamb. And when you can get 9, 10, 12, 15 targets on a game-by-game basis, he's going to rack up fantasy points every single week. Frankly, he underperformed last year.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The days get easier. The days get better here. It's a hump day Wednesday. Sometimes in the middle of summer, it's like, hey, just get you to the weekend. You head down the shore. You go to the lake. You catch up the beach. You're taking a vacation. There are no more vacations now, Joe Ranieri. This is the time where we hit the gas pedal. Week 1 of the college football season does start tomorrow, and a great weekend it's going to be. Next week, we're previewing NFL games each and every day leading up to Thursday's night start of the NFL season between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Joe Ranieri, Donnie Rightside, SportsGrid Network. Zoom, zoom, and away we go.
Off and running, college football, 24 hours away. Can't wait. I mean, a little midweek football heading right into the weekend. Gotta love it here, Donnie. I'm ready for it.
Some of us are saying you might have to wake up maybe an hour earlier because we're so excited here to get down to the business here on the SportsGrid Network with the early line. But we will find out sooner than later on who's going to be playing in week number 1 and winning in week number 1. But we got to get to some of the hottest topics across the sports landscape. The 7-7, which deals, of course, with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Nope. Not talking about that Kansas City Chiefs. We're talking about the Kelseys, and we're talking about the Kelsey getting married over to the Swift, and the Swifties and the Kelseys and the Unite. It's Chiefs Kingdom right now. An engagement between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. The biggest news, not only in the NFL, maybe on the planet yesterday. Whew.
Oh, well, it's also, let's not make any mistake about it, Donnie. It is good for business for both sides here, the NFL as well as Taylor Swift. So, yes, I think they will utilize this announcement for much of the season whenever the Kansas City Chiefs are on prime time here, which I believe is a couple of times we'll get a chance to see them. I think it's going to be a lot of Travis and Taylor when it's all said and done at the end of the year.
Now, what are the options for us on the Super Bowl, Joe Ranieri? Does Taylor Swift do a Super Bowl now, saying, you know what, we're going to put this culmination together? Can you imagine this? They get engaged. The Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. Yep. She appears at the Super Bowl. She does the halftime show. I mean, is the NFL just angling, saying, you know what, is there any way we can get you to the Super Bowl because it's good for everybody?
Yeah, would be don't be shocked if there's not some sort of deal being cut here, Donnie, that will be announced a little bit later in the season. Maybe Kelce gets married at the Super Bowl. What do you think? Maybe that's where they tie the knot.
Oh, my goodness. right after the game. They come out in the tuxedos here, win or lose, and they have a statement. I always thought that maybe if the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl, he would have proposed on the field, but nobody's proposing after a loss. Remember the Boise State, what's his name? Ian something,
Yes.
gets engaged to the cheerleader right after the game, after the Statue of Liberty. I mean, that was a moment. That's when you're supposed to do it. And maybe they got delayed. I bought the ring way back at the Super Bowl, but now I got to wait a little bit so it doesn't look as corny at this point right now. It is what it is. Huge news yesterday. Other big news in Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders, congratulations, kid. You made the football team. QB 3, not 2, not 1.
Yeah, I mean, good news. You're now the emergency quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I think that's what they call the third guy, is the emergency backup, which means you may not even suit up in some games here. But it is the Browns, so the good news is he'd go from the emergency third stringer to the starter by week 6 here, Donnie. That is also very possible.
Yes, I'm telling you, we thought before the season, there's a chance that all 4 quarterbacks could start games for the Cleveland Browns. Kenny Pickett goes over to the Vegas Raiders. Now it leaves Dylan Gabriel along with Shedeur Sanders and Joe Flacco. Trust me right now, every one of those quarterbacks will start this season for the Cleveland Browns because Joe Flacco is not going to be playing more than 7 games. I'm sorry, he's just not. And the other 2 kids, you have to get a look at them sooner or later for Kevin Stefanski and that organization. The Carolina Panthers, they let go Hunter Renfrow. One of those guys winning national championships, winning great routes against Alabama, was fantastic for a short period of time with the Vegas Raiders, but got injured, got sick, and now he looks like he's probably going to be out of football once again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, too, because they thought he might actually play a decent role there in Bryce Young and this season, but unfortunately, it's not to be for him. We'll see. Hopefully he gets better enough to be able to get somewhere here, but the Panthers did say they are interested in signing him to the practice squad if he doesn't get any active roster offers, but he does have to get a little bit healthier here first.
But what's interesting this too, because they're trying to get rid of Adam Thielen. So you need another slot receiver, and he would be that slot receiver. So you're right. It makes sense that he does come back because Thielen's not going to be on that opening day roster. If you're having active talks to try to ship him back to Minnesota, what are the chances he actually makes it to opening day? We might still see Hunter Renfrow play a role this year in that offense for Dave Canales. The New Orleans Saints, they chose their starting quarterback. It's Spencer Rattler getting the start over Tyler Shuck, the draftee that they thought would be their franchise guy. But for now, that franchise guy is the Rat.
Yeah, you want to talk about an announcement that moves the needle? Absolutely no way. Nobody is running to the window now to bet overs on New Orleans win total this year, and nobody's running to bet the under because, quite honestly, come on. I mean, congrats. It's how many games does he play before we go to the rookie? Let's be honest here. 2, 3. I mean, it's the lesser of 2 evils here for New Orleans and Kellen Moore. Clearly, it's not necessarily going to be about winning football games this year because they're just not a very good football team with Spencer Rattler at quarterback.
Look, Joe, when you're testing a car to see how durable it is, they don't put the wife, the kid, the husband in there and the baby and smash it against the wall. Use the crash test dummy for that. And maybe the crash test dummy is Spencer Rattler until everything's okay and the season is over. Now go ahead, Tyler Shuck. Get out there, throw it around. No pressure on you. Just make some things happen. The Texas Rangers, shame on it. Nathan Eovaldi is going to be down for the season, what they anticipate. That's 2 pitchers that were vying for Cy Youngs. One in the National League, Zach Wheeler, now one in the American League here. And Nathan Eovaldi look like they're done for the season. That's a shame for the Rangers, who were trying to fight for that last wild card spot. This might be that blow that just doesn't allow them to get back into the race.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so unfortunate because we had really hoped that, we were going to get some sort of combination of DeGrom and Eovaldi in a short series here. If they could get the bats going, they hoped that, John Gray this season. I mean, they had a lot of hopes that this was a big bounce back spot for the Rangers. And unfortunately, now with the loss of Eovaldi, DeGrom is likely going to be shut down before it's all said and done. So you can't just be a 500 baseball club, Donnie, and expect things to go your way. And that's just not what's happening with the Rangers this season.
By the way, I hope this stadium in Vegas never gets built for the Athletics and have to stay in Sacramento. It's a beautiful ballpark. The ball travels there. You can hit home runs. How about a 471-foot grand slam? Now, you might say, well, I can't put that into terms of how far that is. There's a batting eye in center field in Sacramento Stadium. He hit it over the batting eye. Please, A's, stay in Sacramento. We love you.
Yeah, 471 is impressive, but 471 in a losing effort, not so impressive there, Detroit. I'm just saying. So, congrats though, Riley Green, finally starting to hit the ball again. He had a long drought there for a while this season, but we'll see if he can pick it up.
Congrats is right. And how about this? Congrats to Jannik Sinner moving on in the U.S. Open round number 1. By the way, does anybody like tennis? I mean, I'm not. Maybe I'm being a little facetious. Does anybody like tennis? Like, I can't get into it, Joe. You like tennis?
I like Sinner versus Alcaraz. Let me know when it's on, because that's about 6 hours you can kill. Let me know.
I mean,
that's where it's going.
Like, it's always on the TV, like breakfast at Wimbledon when they play over there. Like, my favorite day is the day that tournament ends. But the U.S. Open is around where, like, football is starting, so I don't really get, like, I hate this, but it's just on. It is what it is, and away you go. Same thing we do here in hour number 2. The hottest topics we've got with the biggest games on the college football slate. Ohio State!
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
It's time to get it on. Why? Because this weekend we are seeing some titanic battles in college football. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Like, if you look just behind me right now, like which I always get it confused here. Which arm? Nope, it's this arm right here. Let me just go up, see that? Let me move it this way. Nope, the other way. There we go. That helmet right there, William Patterson Pioneers. I don't know if it'll still fit me because that's from the mid-1990s. The helmet below, it's my high school helmet. But I'm ready to strap it up and get it on this weekend. Texas, Joe, Ohio State. We've been talking about this game for 6 months. It's finally here. And also, the good part about it is it's not Thursday. It's not Friday, but it's Saturday. I don't have to wait till 8 p.m. on my Saturday holiday weekend to get the party started. I get it at noon, Joe, and I love it. What are your vibes for Texas, Ohio State?
Donnie, more I look at this, I'm thinking, has this been the greatest week one ever schedule-wise on what we got coming up here with three games featuring top 10 teams? Like, you got to be kidding me. I don't think I've ever seen that in the history of college. I mean, usually you get that one outlier game, but for the most part in week one, you ain't getting three games with teams ranked in the top 10, but this is exactly what we have here. And this game, listen, it's going to be, I played the under, Donnie. That's the way I looked at this as opposed to picking a side because, listen, we still have two guys at quarterback that are unproven. This is the first real road start, right, of Manning here. We know that they just announced this is the first start period for the Ohio State quarterback. So what we tend to usually get in games like this early on is that I don't think Ryan Day or Sark are going to ask these guys to do anything crazy. And, with unproven commodities, the last thing you want to do is go out there and have your first quarterbacks go out and lose games here. So first road start for Arch Manning, first for Julian Sayin altogether. I think this is going to be a very physical game here. I think the defenses, we got plenty of defensive guys on Texas. We know Ohio State replaced a lot of guys, but who are we kidding? The idea that the Buckeyes won't have a top 10 defense is absurd here. I think the under is the way to go. This opened up close to 50. It's down to 48 already. And I agree with it because I think first game of the season, it's going to be power football. Let's see who makes the mistake. That's who's going to lose. But I don't think we're getting 50 points in this game.
It is interesting, though. Like, you have weapons on both sides. You're right, the defense is here. You didn't get that cream puff game to start off by, like, hey, let's roll a team 51-0, get those good vibes, and then sort of improve from weeks 1 to weeks number 2 after a dress rehearsal. There is no dress rehearsal. This is live and maybe the biggest game of the season that we're getting right away on Saturday at 12. I don't see too many people, to be honest, Joe, backing Ohio State, just looking through like the X feeds, the Twitter feeds, and also, just going through social media. -2.5 there at that opening number. We saw 3s, but now we're seeing some outlets here, DraftKings and BetMGM, they're down to 1.5. Could we possibly see by game day some of these outlets flip over to Texas? Because I just see more Texas action than Ohio State.
Yeah, and listen, you have two, which is crazy here, Doug, because you have two fan bases who are going to be pouring to the windows on game day, putting money down here. So you always get with these two teams that last minute push here on both sides. So there's never going to be any shortage of money. But I doubt very much we're getting a 3 in this game. I think it's going to land 2.5. I think that's where it's going to stay. We've seen the under money come in, which makes sense because you don't want young quarterbacks turning the ball over a ton. But this is going to be really who makes the only mistake, who gets the turnover, who fumbles the ball, who throws the INT. That's what's going to determine who wins this game between these two teams.
And how about this next one we'll talk about from Death Valley? Here's the interesting part about this. Death Valley to Death Valley. Like, hey, which one's the real Death Valley? Is it LSU or is it over at Clemson? They're going to tangle at 7:30 on Saturday night. Favorite here, 3.5 points for Clemson over LSU. But as we talk about the Bayou Bengals in college football, which is LSU, and then you take a look at the Bengals in the NFL, the one thing they have in common, Joe, slow starts. Like Brian Kelly, schedule a cupcake for once in game number 1 so you can actually win it. What are the chances you think that LSU goes on the road to the other Death Valley and comes away with a victory?
Yeah, I don't. Listen, Nussmeier's still dealing with a knee injury from what we're seeing. He's also missed a couple of practices, so not great. And kudos to Brian Kelly for scheduling all those crazy games, but he hasn't won one of them. I think he's 0-3 here at this point in season openers. So I love Clemson this year. I've got him not only to win the ACC, I got him to make the playoffs. I got him to win the national championship. This is exactly the kind of Dabo Swinney team Garrett Riley, the OC, back for another year with Cade Klubnik, who is been there. He has done this. I like Clemson at home. I would lay it, and I would also play him on the money line if you want to avoid that.
Ooh.
But I think Clemson is going to be – they're going to come out of the gate here and show the rest of the country that Clemson is back, and they're going to handle LSU.
Such a fun game here. And by the way, we flip it over to a Sunday slate where they're going to give you Virginia Tech and South Carolina early, and then Notre Dame and Miami. Stand-alone business on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. That's or 7:30. That's going to do some damage in the ratings. And the Miami Hurricanes at home, they're underdogs. Carson Beck's new look offense here for Miami, no longer Cam Ward. How do we figure that Notre Dame-Miami game plays out?
I mean, C.J. Carr, redshirt freshman, was announced as the QB here for Notre Dame. Notre Dame, one of the more disciplined teams, Donnie. They will not beat themselves very often. Mario Cristobal, on the other hand, he will figure out a way to beat himself. He will put Miami in a position to lose the game, and they will oblige. It's Notre Dame for me. No way do I trust this Miami team on the big stage. Sorry, Miami.
Stop it, man. It's time to hammer down the Fighting Irish. The Fighting Irish will be fighting themselves in the stands because Carson Beck is going to come out there and deliver the goods. And we also, by the way, guys, have a Monday night standalone football game, TCU and North Carolina. Yeah, that's Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels taking on TCU. They are a slight underdog at home with a 56.5 from Kenan Memorial Stadium down in Chapel Hill. That's your weekend setup here. It looks fantastic, and I cannot wait for it to get here. But before it does, we're going to talk Major League Baseball. Don't leave that money on the diamond, people. We're going to handicap those games coming up next on the Early Line.
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Here's the irony with this group. They're going all in a row, 27, 28, 29, and 30 at wide receiver. All of these guys have a huge fantasy upside. They're all being drafted as wide receiver threes, and I think all of them are going to outperform that ADP. Calvin Ridley could end up as a low-end 1, high-end 2. George Pickens, I think, is going to end up being a solid back-end wide receiver 2 at the end of the day.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
In extras, knocked out the Reds 6-5. This team doesn't lose. And the only thing I want to say, Tom, is I just hope they can continue this. Now, what does that mean? 40 games in a row? Of course we know it's not going to be the case. They are peaking right now. We've seen so many times. Baseball's a long season. Boy, if the Brewers are playing this baseball on September the 28th, watch out. But they are sensational right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If the Golden State Valkyries make the playoffs, and right now at 18 and 17, they're one game ahead of the loss column versus Seattle and the Spartans. If they make the playoffs, you must, and I mean must, give their coach head coach of the year in the WNBA.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball, we got afternoon action today. We have middle of the day action today. We have night action today for some good nightcaps out there, Detroit and the Athletics. Should we get more runs than what we saw yesterday? Any more grand slams? Any more comebacks from the Athletics? We'll find out. But it starts today in the Bronx, in New York City. 975, 976. That's Washington and New York. Cavalli's on the mound, taking on Max Fried. Hey, welcome back to Major League Baseball. Max Fried with a solid start your last time out. Cavalli is also interesting. A former first-round draft pick, Tommy John surgery, fighting his way back. He has shown some spotlights here that he can get down. 8.5 are the total in the card. Look at this Yankees favorite. Opened up overnight minus 300. We're now sitting at around a 275 price if we call it even throughout most of the outlets here. A 105 start today. That's a big price to pay for Max Fried, but maybe he's back, Joe. Is he?
Well, I mean, he was awful for 2 months, Donnie. I mean, he had close to a 7 ERA in 8 starts. But then against the Red Sox his last time out, 4 hits, 6 scoreless, didn't get the decision. The Yankees ended up losing that game 1-0 on Friday, but maybe, just maybe, that he had figured some things out there. I mean, listen, I think Max Fried is too good a pitcher where he's just, unless he's hurt, that he is going to continue down that path of having a 7 ERA the rest of the way. So if we get the Max Fried like we got last week against the Red Sox, I think, Donnie, there's no reason not to think the Yankees can handle business here. I like the under, early start here. Makes sense that maybe everyone's in a rush to hurry up and end this game as quick as possible.
Yeah, not a ton of innings there for Cavalli, but he does have a 3.89 xFIP number over the past 60 days, which isn't too bad. You take a look here, and I'm trying to find Max Fried, who had that good last start. He's got close to a 6 ERA still with that good start over the past 60 days and a 4.28 xFIP number. Maybe he is bouncing back. You look at that Yankees lineup, 1 through 6. It looks really good against righties. Grisham, 276 ISO, Rice, 288, Judge, 231, Bellinger, 179, Stanton, 479, and Chisholm at a 309. That's just the last 30 days going up against right-handed pitching. One thing that we do like, Joe, from Yankee Stadium, how about 75 degrees at first pitch with double-digit winds blowing out to the short porch in right field? Something certainly to keep an eye on there. Let's keep it moving. Atlanta and Miami, also a 1 o'clock start here. That's at 110, 951, 952. Atlanta's going to throw Wentz on the mound, the left-handed pitcher, going up against Ryan Gusto. 8.5 as a total, but a slight favorite to Atlanta in this spot. I think Atlanta should be able to pick up that W. If you watched yesterday and you had the under, condolences to you, where the Braves, I think, scored 9 runs in the top of the 9th inning in like a 2-1 or a 2-2 game at that point. But that was also that, Hurston Waldrop, another good start for the Bravos yesterday. But today, Wentz will be on the mound against Gusto.
Yeah, I mean, 9 runs at the top of the 9th is hilarious.
Jeez.
But you know what? If I'm Atlanta and I'm an Atlanta fan, Danny, I got to be going, what could have been? I mean, the fact that there's still 12 games under 500, and yet they have been ripping off wins left and right here in the second part of the season, actually crushing the ball and with no starting pitching. Like Joey Wentz is going again here today. They have had to pick up guys off the scrap heap because everybody has gotten hurt. But he already faced Miami back on August 10th. Yeah. He gave up 1 run, 4 hits, 5 1/3. Atlanta won 7-1. Gusto has been an absolute train wreck since coming over from Houston. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'll take Atlanta because I trust them a little bit more right now.
No, I do. So if that line goes from FanDuel 122 up to 132, and it's primarily in that mid-130s range, I do think that is a smart decision, and Atlanta should be able to hit. Sometimes just about trusting the lineups more than the other one, and you're right about Gusto here. A 5.35 ERA over the past 60 days. Doesn't really hold up his end of the bargain on the mound. Let's take a look at one of the more fun series as we're watching right now. A day game on the West Coast, which will start in Washington at 1:10 p.m. But again, East Coast time, that's 4:10. 977, 978. San Diego's going to throw Yu Darvish going up against Brian Wu of the Seattle Mariners. A minus 145 price overnight. That's dropping here. Minus 136 is minus 138 in the marketplace. And a total that's listed at 8 with some outlets at 7.5. We've seen some offense. Is today the day where the offense dies up there at T-Mobile?
It only makes sense, right? Early start here. Yeah. 2 pitchers that are more than capable of limiting the damage. I think this is finally a pitcher's duel here between these 2 teams. So, yeah, under for me.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like Yu Darvish getting back into form. Do you trust the ace at this point? But always those afternoon games sometimes are a little bit squirrely. Getaway day, but also understand this. This isn't your normal clubs here that are playing each other. No. Seattle is trying to chase down and take a lead over the Houston Astros. San Diego's doing the same thing. So it's not as if you can't, throwaway day, getaway day, put the bench warmers in there. These games mean so much where maybe, Joe, a month and a half ago, you might see guys like Cal Raleigh resting in this game. That should not be the case today on a getaway day. More Major League Baseball talk right here on the early line coming up next.
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Lost Pages. Let's get lucky.
Here's the irony with this group. They're going all in a row, 27, 28, 29, and 30 at wide receiver. All of these guys have a huge fantasy upside. They're all being drafted as wide receiver threes, and I think all of them are going to outperform that ADP. Calvin Ridley could end up as a low-end 1, high-end 2. George Pickens, I think, is going to end up being a solid back-end wide receiver 2 at the end of the day.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
In extras, knocked out the Reds 6-5. This team doesn't lose. And the only thing I want to say, Tom, is I just hope they can continue this. Now, what does that mean? 40 games in a row? Of course we know it's not going to be the case. They are peaking right now. We've seen so many times. Baseball's a long season. Boy, if the Brewers are playing this baseball on September the 28th, watch out. But they are sensational right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If the Golden State Valkyries make the playoffs, and right now at 18 and 17, they're one game ahead of the loss column versus Seattle and the Sparks. If they make the playoffs, you must, and I mean must, give their coach head coach of the year in the WNBA.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Full card of Major League Baseball on a Wednesday. Who says no to that on a hump day? Absolutely, we love it. Tomorrow, we'll get our taste of football and still more Major League Baseball, as most of those games will be played in the afternoon. But some of these games starting at 6:35 Eastern, just like this one, the Boston Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles. Bayo's going to be on the mound versus Enns, the left-handed pitcher, a 9 as a total here. A favorite overnight for Bayo and the Boston Red Sox at -138. We've seen now 136s, 143s, 140s, depending where you're shopping at. And once again, that total of 9. Do we get runs today down in Baltimore? And can the Boston Red Sox come away with a victory today?
Well, if Bayo pitches the way that he did against Fried in that game on Friday against the Yankees, then we're not getting 9 runs. We're certainly not getting them from the Orioles here. So, yes, this feels like this is going to be another one of those that maybe Bayo has figured it out and figured it out rather quickly. What are you going to get from the Baltimore pitching staff here at this point? They're bringing guys back from injury. They're throwing guys out there that should have absolutely no business starting games. The bullpen's not any good. So very hard for me to look anywhere at this point other than Boston, who's kind of paying Baltimore back from, handling business at Fenway when they were there last week.
Let's get up to the 6 in Toronto, the first-place team in the AL East. They're going to take on the Minnesota Twins. That's the Toronto Blue Jays. Lauer, the lefty, is going to be on the mound, a veteran guy, going up against Simeon Woods Richardson. Now, understand this. He's coming back to Major League Baseball after missing roughly a month, Joe, by having a parasite removed from his intestine. Never a good thing. Had a spot start there in the minors. Wasn't very good. But now he comes up against one of the teams that they've been known to get after it at the plate. The total in this game is listed at 9 across the board, but a heavy favorite for Toronto, Joe. Overnight -180, still sitting in that -180 range. Who gets that job done tonight? And also, can you trust Woods Richardson, who, quite frankly, wasn't good before he left Major League Baseball about a month ago to get that surgery.
Yeah, no, you can't trust Woods Richardson, nor can you trust this Minnesota lineup here. And listen, Lauer has, had his moments this year, and he should have no problem, I think, going up against this Minnesota lineup. But the bullpen of Toronto has not been good. Showed up again last night there, maybe getting a little worn down here. So I like Toronto. I like them early in this one. So I'll lay the half a run in the first 5 and look for Toronto to bounce back.
How about that, Toronto? I do think they hit at the plate today. Take a look at Woods Richardson. Again, he hasn't had a lot of innings pitched over the past month, but over his past 60 days, he has a decent ERA, but his xFIP numbers, his analytical numbers, they're really high. And sometimes I do like to take a peek at what did he do in the minors? Well, his last start in the minors, Joe, 6 1/3, 88 pitches, no runs. Okay, he's ready. He got lumped up just a little bit, so we'll see if that carries over playing Toronto in Toronto today. Big ball game today in Flushing. Look, the U.S. Open's going on there. The Philadelphia Phillies are playing the New York Mets. Walker versus McClain. McClain's the youngster that's been pitching fairly well since getting called up to Major League Baseball. Taijuan Walker has actually been decent over the past month and a half. Something has to give today, but I'll tell you this. Just look at the line itself. It'll tell you everything you need to know. Veteran pitcher versus a youngster. Team playing well right now in the Mets. The Phillies not playing so well and can't win at Citi Field. Minus 150s here as a favorite for the New York Mets in a game that's going to start at 7:10 tonight and a total of 8.5. The Phillies look like they're set up just to get swept today, Joe.
They really do. And again, they used all their leverage guys last night and couldn't get the win here. Yeah. They're what, 6-4 in their last 10?
Yep.
Not good here. They're playing 500 baseball and they can't, for whatever reason, sight lines, whatever it is, Donnie, they can't hit at Citi Field. They can't beat the Mets pitching. I like McClain, though. I like him a lot for the Mets. It feels like just maybe we get a tough game early on, maybe a first 5 under for me here, maybe a little bit of a pitcher's battle before the bats get involved, like last night.
Yeah, looking at the, Taijuan Walker, again, does have some pretty good numbers. Not a strikeout pitcher, which does tend to get you in trouble. His power numbers are low over the past 30 days, but also the Mets bats against right-handed pitching, they project very well. Power numbers and weighted on base percentages. We'll see how it plays out. Now, if we do take a look at Nolan McClain, only 45 batters he's faced, Joe, in Major League Baseball. K rate, 31%. The Phillies typically have struggles with striking out. Walk rate, not too bad. ISO power number against, very good. Weighted on base percentage, very good. And he is a ground ball pitcher. Also understand this at Citi Field today. 71-degree temperatures, that's okay tonight. 8-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from left field, so maybe we don't see those home runs and those runs to sort of get you over the hump if you're looking for a total in this spot. Take a look at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ryan Nelson's going to be on the mound, taking on the Milwaukee Brewers, the best team in baseball with Quinn Priester on the mound. Favorite here overnight, minus 150. That's dropping now, Joe. We see minus 142s, minus 145s in the business across those sports books that you would be shopping at. 8s to 8.5 on the total here. Nelson versus Priester. Sometimes you just say to yourself, I don't know if I want to go against Milwaukee regardless of the pitching matchup, which I do like Quentin Priester anyway today.
They haven't lost the start of his, Donnie. I mean, there's no, it's like, it's ridiculous here. It's absolutely crazy with what's going on here with him. He pitches and Milwaukee figures out ways to win games here. Can't trust Nelson on the road. Although Arizona has been hitting the ball better, they obviously scoring runs isn't an issue. Don't like the usage of the Milwaukee bullpen. So if I'm going anywhere, I'm going early in this one, looking for Milwaukee with a first 5 lead, like they have had the first 2 games of this series, but ultimately gave it up in the latter half of the innings with the bullpen.
Yeah, they like to do that. Again, it's hard just to go against a team that's playing this well, can win in any sort of environment here. Being at home, we'll see how that one plays out. Cincinnati and Los Angeles, that's the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani is going to be on the mound today going up against Nick Lodolo, a left-handed pitcher. The favorite overnight, minus 200 or so, still sitting there at minus 205. Highest number I'm seeing right now, minus 210 at BetMGM, and a total that opened up at 8.5 overnight. There are still some 8.5s, but it looks like the prevailing line now has dropped to 8, and I actually agree with that. I think both of these pitchers should be able to hold these teams down. Last night, 6-3 type game? I can picture this being a 5-3 or less type game where this number does stay under the total.
Yeah, it feels like a under spot. I mean, obviously, Ohtani hasn't necessarily been Ohtani since they started to stretch him out here a little bit on the mound. So how many do we get from him, right? I mean, it wasn't a great start last time out. And are we going to get locked down Ohtani? If we do, it doesn't feel. I mean, listen, Kershaw didn't hit 90 miles an hour last night, and the Reds look lost. What are they going to do against Ohtani and now a rejuvenated bullpen of the Dodgers? I'm with you. I would even go Reds team total under in this spot in this game.
Oh, how about that at this point here? Chicago and San Francisco, Joe, the scene of the crime last night for you. Justin Verlander pitching well. Today, it's Whisenhunt, the left-handed pitcher. They're just throwing gems out there with pitchers on the mound. Colin Ray, you know we don't like that guy. Total listed at 8.5 across the board, but a favorite towards the Chicago Cubs. Is this the day that the Cubs say enough is enough? We're going to take care of business, and we're going to hit the baseball?
And I've seen nothing but giant money hit the board here. So, yeah, go figure at this point. The Cubs, just when you thought they had figured it out, they haven't. I mean, Colin Ray is not a guy I ever trust. He has been pretty decent for them over the last month. He's given them some quality starts. But since I don't trust the Cubs bats, I'm looking at an under at Oracle here tonight more than anything else.
Can't trust it. That's what we always like to say there. You look at, again, Colin Ray should be able to get hit. Whisenhunt should be able to get hit, but just that squirrely ballpark here. Let me check the temperatures because I think there's a wind blowing out the center field and also cooler temps. Let's see. Oh, look at that, Joe. 63 degrees by the time you're midway through that game and a wind blowing out the center field of 7.3 miles per hour. It's the summertime. Like, can't we move that ballpark, Joe? Can't we move it inland 40 or 50 miles? Like, why do we have to play baseball in the summer in the low 60s? What gives here?
Yeah, well, that's why that ballpark is so hard to hit in. It's not a hitter's ballpark, and it's why you can't get a lot of big-time power hitters to sign with the Giants as free agents. Nobody wants to go there.
That place stinks. By the way, 3 afternoon baseball games once again. Washington and New York. That's the Yankees, Atlanta and Miami. And then also Tampa Bay and Cleveland here before a 4 o'clock start between San Diego and Seattle. And then into our night games we go. Nice baseball slate here on a Wednesday. Mr. Kaufman's going to be up here. We're going to hit more Major League Baseball next. Stay tuned on the early line.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It should be illegal for Scotty Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It doesn't matter that they're early in the game, late in the game, they're trailing, they're leading. It doesn't matter garbage time. CeeDee Lamb is the guy. And we saw that even after Dak got hurt last year and Cooper Rush was under center. Targets were going to CeeDee Lamb. And when you can get 9, 10, 12, 15 targets on a game-by-game basis, he's going to rack up fantasy points every single week. Frankly, he underperformed last year.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Fun show on a Wednesday right on the early line on the Sports Grid Network. My goodness, the topics that we've gone over today, and maybe the biggest topic of all was Travis Kelce getting engaged to Taylor Swift. But we love ourselves some Major League Baseball. Donnie right side, joined by Joe Ranieri as usual. Now we welcome in Adam Kaufman, no stranger to the networks here. You can find him on In Game Live and many other shows across the network. Trying to have some fun in the morning. Rise and shine here, Adam, with us.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Like you said, no stranger to the network, but if you can believe it, guys, This is my debut on the early line, so I'm pretty excited to be here with you.
Look at that. Who was holding Adam off the early line for so many years? It wasn't me.
Unbelievable.
I'm still here on the show. I love this guy
I got some
across
phone
the network.
calls.
He's absolutely fantastic. Fantastic stuff. But we are talking Major League Baseball to have some fun with today, Adam. And I know there's a huge schedule. I love Wednesday cards where they give us a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit later in the afternoon, and then obviously the nightcap here. So if we're taking a look at some of this action, particularly early, do you have any digs there? A little Cleveland Guardians, a little Tampa Bay Rays action today?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, every day should look like a Wednesday in Major League Baseball. I get why it doesn't from the standpoint of obviously kids back to school and all that stuff. You know, it's hard to have all those day games, but I'm here for it. We want sports to follow and bet on all day long. As far as this game, I like the Rays. I like the Rays in a bounce back off of what happened yesterday, but only to a point. And what I mean by that is I want to invest in the first 5 for Tampa as opposed to the full game. Take the bullpens out of it. Drew Rasmussen has been excellent of late, as I'm sure you guys know. Digging into some of his numbers, obviously he's got the 2.62 ERA on the season. That speaks for itself. But 2 earned runs allowed or fewer in his last 9 outings. Now, I realize not all of those have been lengthy. You know, there are some 2-inning performances in there. But as of late, he's gone at least 5 the last 5 starts, and that production or efficiency has not dropped off. He has a 1.16 ERA this month. So again, when you do the money line, not the result, the money line, so there's still some juice on it, obviously, but it's not crazy. It's in the vicinity of minus 130. I like him to just keep Tampa really right where the Rays should be, which is either even or in front. Worst case scenario, in my mind, you get the push, you get the money back, but I think Tampa's going to be ahead after 5, even if it's, 2-1 or something like that.
Maybe one of the best pitching matchups of the day in Seattle here with Wu taking on Darvish in the rubber match. People can make the argument, maybe this is a preview of things to come in October. Who wins this game here? Who do you give the edge to?
Well, it's an immensely important game for both of these teams, guys, because you got a Mariners team that is trailing by only a game and a half in the AL West, and you have a Padres team that is back only 1 game in the NL West. So these are the only 2 divisions that are still up for grabs at this point. So there's no lack of urgency here in this one. I just think that ultimately Seattle is the better side. I think more of Brian Wu than I do Yu Darvish. Darvish has had some really good performances over the last, 3-4 weeks. But since his season began only last month, remember, he started in early July. He had missed the first part of the year. He has been wildly inconsistent. It'll be scoreless or 1 run allowed, and then it's like 8 runs allowed or 5 runs allowed. So I would rather bet into some level of consistency, which we've seen largely from Wu. 5 quality starts for people that still care about quality starts out of his last 6 outings overall. He's let up just, the 1 run in San Diego when they matched up back in May, I realize a while ago, but even still, he's got that on his resume this year in what was the right side, obviously, of a 6-1 victory. And again, with the importance of the game, the urgency of it, I think the fact that, the Mariners are looking to, also bounce back from, where they have been of late and try and put more of that pressure on the Astros, a team that I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit as well. Houston, with the way that it fell yesterday at home against Colorado, that Valdez and company are going to bounce back with a victory today. And so for Seattle and Wu, this is a, keeping the pace kind of game, and I think the Mariners will do so. So give me Seattle money line full game.
Plus 300 dog price yesterday, cashed in there for Colorado. Amazing there. You take a look at Tanner Gordon, one of the worst pitchers on the card, comes up with a gem. And sometimes we just say, Adam, that's baseball here. But you know where else we're playing baseball? Down in Baltimore, which I guess the Red Sox, hey, you know what? Let's just stay here an extra couple days and pick up some more wins. A 5-0 win yesterday. They're going to face an opener today in Dietrich Enns, and then Contreras will come in behind him. But Brian Bayo has been very good this season so far for the Sox. Will be on the mound as a favorite, give or take minus 138s to minus 140s in the marketplace, but a total of 9. Do we think Boston's getting out of town with another win down there at Camden Yards?
Look, I would love to tell you I'm backing the Red Sox today because of homerism. I'm not. They're just the better team. Nobody would argue against that. These are two clubs heading in the wrong opposite directions. You know, we've seen it here in this series, but overall for the season as well. And the Red Sox are trying to put themselves, firmly, if they can, atop the wild card standings in the American League, granted with some weeks still to play in this season. Bayo, like you said, has been excellent. He's not the ace of the staff because, Garrett Crochet exists, but Bayo has been awesome. He's got a 3.07 ERA, sub-3 ERA overall over the last 3 months. So he's just getting better by the start, quite frankly, guys. And, I know you could look back and he faced the Orioles earlier this year. Red Sox won that game 19-5, but he didn't pitch great in there. That was May. What we've seen from him of late over June, July, August has been exceptional. Again, in the vicinity of a 2.6, 2.7 ERA. I think he keeps it up today. And I think the Red Sox, as they get down the stretch here, know how important these games are. So Red Sox money line, I would look into the first 5 as well if you want to double dip and play both. And I think we're going to see runs in this one. I would look toward the over.
So the Cubs made Verlander look like he was 20 years younger last night. Do they bounce back today against the Giants?
They have to. And it's not because I think that much of Colin Ray, although, again, he is the better pitcher in this particular matchup, and he's got a 2.5 ERA so far this month. But like you said, sometimes you just need to respond. He got knocked around by the Giants in May, but the Cubs, they've taken 7 out of 10. You got a Giants team that's starting to feel itself a little bit with the 3 straight wins. But you can't go down against Verlander the way that he has pitched over the course of this season. I know there have been some starts that have been a little bit better of late, like the one last night that you outlined. But for Chicago, it's a response game, and I think you're getting value on the money line.
There you go. Adam Kaufman bringing the heat this morning. Also, don't miss out here. We got a little parlay action between Houston and New York. Fading a little Cavalli, fading a little Dollander. You got to step up there, right? Max Fried with a good start last time out. And also Valdez, your ace of the staff. They have to provide it. Thank you for the insight today, Adam. Certainly. Don't be a stranger around these parts here on the early line.
You call me anytime, guys.
We'll be right back on the early line.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It should be illegal for Scotty Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It doesn't matter that they're early in the game, late in the game, they're trailing, they're leading. It doesn't matter garbage time. CeeDee Lamb is the guy. And we saw that even after Dak got hurt last year and Cooper Rush was under center. Targets were going to CeeDee Lamb. And when you can get 9, 10, 12, 15 targets on a game-by-game basis, he's going to rack up fantasy points every single week. Frankly, he underperformed last year.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
How did we get to the last segment of the day so quickly here? Why? That's fun. That's information that you need to know. That sets the table for your SportsGrid day so you can now have all the ammunition you need to fire away this afternoon in Major League Baseball. Tomorrow's action on the gridiron, which starts week number 1 of the college football season. And then, come on now, away we go. NFL starts next week. And before you can blink, it will be Christmas. Well, let's savor these moments right now because we've waited so long. So also at this time of the show, we like to reach out to the public and ask their opinion on a question that we ask them with a specific topic. Here's Fade the Public. Joe, you don't want the people thinking too much in the morning. Like, you know what? Get them a question they can answer immediately and understand what the question is. At SportsGrid on X, if you went there, you saw the question we asked in our Fade the Public poll today. Simple. Will the Chiefs reach the Super Bowl this year? Yes and no question. 83% of the public right now, Joe. No. And you know what? I'm with them. Chiefs ain't winning it this year. Take that.
It's like it's we never learned from our mistakes. We did this for
Come
well
on,
over
Joe.
a decade.
Vote no.
With a
Vote
guy
no.
named Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Come on, vote no.
And we kept saying the Patriots every year. No, they're not going back to the Super Bowl. No, they can't. And every year, guess what? That's exactly what they do. Whether they win it or not is different. Getting there, very hard to bet against them. It's easy to bet against them now, but let's review this question by week 10, Donnie, and ask it again.
Come on now, Joe. Vote no with me. It's fun to keep the Chiefs out of here. I just had to watch a Chiefs Kingdom, ESPN trilogy where they didn't win anything here. Why? Because your Philadelphia Eagles saved. Like the Eagles have saved the country from so much, Joe. We saved them from the Patriots by beating them in the Super Bowl in 2017. We saved the country from a three-peat that would have been exhausting to listen to with the Kansas City Chiefs in the last Super Bowl. That's what we love doing here in Philadelphia, is helping out the rest of the country, which we will do again next week on Thursday night by handling America's least favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. How about that? But now, Joe, come on now. Let's get some W's here. Let's get the people what they want. It's bye. Now, I know you're not going to back a Verlander today, and I know you're probably going to stay far away from the San Francisco Giants and the Chicago Cubs. So what gives today? Where are we going for some action?
Well, I am going to go to the one of the early games this afternoon with the Rays and the Guardians here. We've already started to see under money come in for the full game, little getaway game for both of these teams. But with Rasmussen on the mound for the Tampa Bay Rays, runs are going to be hard to come by here for the Guardians. Not to mention, we got cooler temperatures and double-digit winds blowing in from left field at Progressive Field. So don't trust the Guardians lineup as it is. Tampa's in one of these spots where it is a getaway day for them. I'm going to split in half here because I'm going to take the under in the first 5. It was 4.5. It's down to 4 now. And I like it. I think that in a getaway game, the strike zone increases. We got winds blowing in. And I think runs are going to be hard to come by here across the board. Don't mind the full game either, but I'm going to go ahead and concentrate the first 5 under here.
I'll give a little bit of help for you too, Joe. Slade Ciccone, you're starting today. Just don't pitch to Junior Caminero, okay? Just walk him at all costs because otherwise you might be doing some damage. Get around him, you'll be just fine. For me, I'm keeping it simple today. Went with an over yesterday on 2 bad baseball teams, but 2 worst pitchers. Easily hit it. By the way, do you know the Pirates had 7 runs before the second inning was over? Oh, you love those every night. I'm keeping it simple again tonight. Rangers and the Angels. Oh, Donnie, I don't really like those lineups that much. So what? Kohanowitz is on the mound. Stop your handicapping right there. Get yourself 9 runs today and get to the window, as we like to say. So for me, Angels, Rangers, over 9. That's my best bet of the day for today. Ding, 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 and away we go. By the way, you like some of that live, hey, what's going on out there in the sports landscape? How about Adam Thielen going back home to the Minnesota Vikings, Joe? A match made in heaven, back in town.
Yeah, and it only helped a rookie of sorts quarterback there for Minnesota, and can't go wrong. Old reliable in Minnesota. Fan base will love him, and the more reliable you can give target-wise to McCarthy, I think the better off it is.
Panthers are trading wide receiver Adam Thielen a conditional 2026 7th-round pick and an exchange there in a 2027 5th-round pick. So basically, just a pick swap at this point. He wanted to leave. They didn't want to cut him. He wanted to get some compensation back. They did that, which means maybe Hunter Renfrow will be back to the Carolina Panthers here to take that spot. That'll do it for today's show. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri, the early line. We love you tuning in and listening. The best part about it is we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.